My wife whispered, "Your son is pulling away perfectly. Keep pushing him." On a late Tuesday call, I said, "Okay," as she criticized our boy over every little thing, pretending not to know why. She didn't realize I'd seen the emails that I'm a 34-year-old guy, been married to my wife Mara, 32, for 15 years. We have a 14-year-old son, Rylan, who's honestly the best kid a dad could ask for. Smart as hell, gets good grades, never gives us trouble. I work as a mechanic at Henderson's garage downtown. Been there 8 years now. Mara works at First National Bank as a loan officer. Here's the thing that's been eating at me for the past few months. Mara has been absolutely relentless with Rylan lately. And I mean about everything. Kid gets a B+ on a math test? She's on him about how he's not applying himself. He leaves his hoodie on the kitchen chair. She's lecturing him about being irresponsible and how this is exactly the kind of behavior that will hold you back in life. Yesterday, she spent 20 minutes criticizing the way he sits at the dinner table, saying he looks slovenly and needs to learn proper posture if he wants people to respect him. I've tried talking to her about it. Every time I say something like, "Hey, he's doing great, maybe we could ease up a little," she completely flips it around on me, says I'm undermining her parenting, and that I always take his side against her. Last week she actually said I'm the reason Rylan is going to turn out soft and unprepared for the real world. The weird part is, she wasn't always like this. Sure, she's always been a little more strict than me, but this level of constant criticism started maybe 6 months ago. It's like she's looking for reasons to find fault with him. So here's where it gets strange. Tuesday night I came home from work and heard her on the phone in the kitchen. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, just grabbing a beer from the garage fridge, but our kitchen window was open, and I could hear everything clearly. She was saying something like, "I know it's hard, but we have to be patient. The kid's already starting to pull away from me, which is exactly what we need. Soon enough, he'll choose to stay with his dad, and then I'll finally be free to do what I want." I stood there for probably 5 minutes trying to make sense of what I'd heard. Free to do what? And why would she want Rylan to pull away from her? What kind of mother talks about her own kid like that? I haven't said anything to her about it yet because honestly, I'm not even sure what I heard. But it's been 3 days and I can't stop thinking about it. The way she said "finally be free" keeps playing in my head. My buddy Jace at work thinks I should just ask her straight up what's going on, but something tells me that's not the right move. Our neighbor Elias went through a messy divorce 2 years ago, and he always says you need to pay attention to patterns, not just isolated incidents. I'm starting to think maybe I need to pay closer attention to what's really happening in my house. Am I overthinking this? Or does something feel off to you guys too? Update 1. The criticism toward Rylan has gotten worse, way worse. Sunday morning he was doing his homework at the kitchen table and accidentally knocked over his orange juice. Nothing major, just spilled on the table, not even on his papers. Mara absolutely lost it. Started yelling about how he's careless and sloppy, and how this is exactly the kind of behavior that shows he doesn't take anything seriously. She made him clean it up, then made him redo his entire homework assignment because, if he can't be careful with simple things, how can we trust him with important things? I stepped in and said it was just an accident, that kids spill things. Big mistake. She turned on me like I'd personally attacked her. "This is exactly what I'm talking about, Colt. You constantly undermine my authority. No wonder he doesn't respect boundaries. His father teaches him there are no consequences for being irresponsible." The argument went on for like 30 minutes. She was saying I'm raising him to be entitled and unprepared for real life, and that my coddling is going to ruin his future. I kept trying to explain that spilling juice isn't a character flaw, but she wasn't hearing it. Here's the part that really got to me though. Rylan just sat there through the whole thing, looking smaller and smaller. When Mara finally stormed out of the room, he asked me if he could just do his homework in his room from now on. Broke my heart. But wait, it gets worse. Wednesday evening I was in the garage working on my truck when Rylan came out. Kid looked upset, kept fidgeting with his hands. Finally he says, "Dad, can I ask you something?" "Of course, buddy. What's up?" "Mom asked me this weird question yesterday. She wanted to know if you and her got divorced, who would I want to live with?" I nearly dropped the wrench I was holding. "She asked you what?" "She said it was just hypothetical, like a thought experiment or whatever." but it felt weird. Why would she ask me something like that? You guys aren't getting divorced, are you? I assured him we weren't, but inside I was freaking out. What kind of mother asks her 14-year-old kid to choose sides in a hypothetical divorce? And why is she planting that idea in his head? I asked him what he told her, and he said he just mumbled something about not wanting to think about it and changed the subject. Smart kid. Later that night, I tried to bring it up casually with Mara. Hey, Rylan mentioned you asked him some hypothetical question about divorce? She immediately got defensive, said she was just trying to have an age-appropriate conversation about how families sometimes change, and that I was making a big deal out of nothing. But here's what's really messing with me. I'm starting to see a pattern. The constant criticism, the phone call about being free, and now she's asking our son to mentally prepare for choosing between parents. It's like she's systematically trying to create distance between herself and Rylan so that when something happens, it'll look like he naturally gravitated toward me. My neighbor Elias says this sounds like someone laying groundwork. Jace thinks I should confront her directly, but honestly, I'm not ready for that conversation yet. I need to understand what's really going on first. I've started paying attention to her phone habits. She's been getting calls from numbers I don't recognize, and when I'm around, she either doesn't answer or goes outside to talk. Yesterday I asked who called and she said it was just work stuff. I'm going to keep documenting this. If something's really happening, I want to be prepared. Edit. For everyone asking why I don't just check her phone, we've never been the type of couple to go through each other's phones. It would be a huge violation of trust, and would definitely start a fight. I'm trying to figure this out without blowing up my marriage if I'm wrong. Edit 2. A lot of you are saying I should talk to Rylan more about what's going on. I'm being careful here because I don't want to put him in the middle of whatever this is, but I'm definitely keeping the lines of communication open. Update 2. Jesus Christ, guys. I found something. I don't even know where to start, so I've been paying closer attention like you all suggested, and the suspicious phone calls have been happening almost daily, always when she thinks I'm not around, always stepping outside or going to another room. Last Friday I heard her talking to someone and caught the words timeline and paperwork. When I asked about it later, she said it was about a loan application at work. But here's what really got me investigating. Sunday night Mara said she needed to run to the office to grab some files she forgot. Weird, since she never works weekends, and the bank is definitely closed. I didn't say anything, but something felt off. Tuesday evening I needed to find our car insurance documents for registration renewal. We keep all that stuff on the shared laptop in the home office. I was looking through the documents folder when I accidentally clicked on her email drafts instead of the insurance folder. I know I shouldn't have looked. I know it was a violation of privacy. But the first draft I saw had the subject line, "Next Steps," and I couldn't help myself. What I found made my stomach drop through the floor. There were 3 draft emails to someone named Devin. The first one was dated about 2 weeks ago. Hey, talk to my attorney friend like you suggested. She says as long as I can show Rylan would be better off with Colt, which won't be hard given how I've been setting things up. Custody shouldn't be an issue. The house sale timeline needs to be figured out. But she thinks we could have everything wrapped up in 60-90 days if we do this right. The second draft was worse. I've been thinking about the college money situation. Rylan has about $23,000 in his education account that I have access to. My attorney friend says once custody is settled with Colt, that money would typically stay with the custodial parent for the kid's benefit. But if we transfer it before any paperwork gets filed, there's no way to track where it goes. Just a thought. The third one, dated 4 days ago, made me physically sick. The kid is finally starting to prefer his dad over me, which is perfect. I've been really pushing the criticism and restrictions so he'll naturally gravitate toward Colt when this all goes down. Yesterday he asked his dad if he could do homework in his room instead of at the kitchen table. Small progress, but it's working. I should be able to file within the month, and this whole thing will be behind us. Then we can finally start our life together. I sat there staring at the screen for probably 20 minutes, just trying to process what I was reading. My wife has been systematically emotionally abusing our son to manipulate a future custody situation. She's planning to steal his college money, and she's been planning to leave me for someone named Devin. The worst part? She's been making me think I was crazy for defending Rylan when she was purposely being cruel to him as part of some twisted strategy. I screenshot everything and emailed it to myself from my work account. Then I spent the next hour going through browser history and found searches for child custody laws, divorce attorney consultation, and transferring minors' savings account. I haven't confronted her yet. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that the woman I've been married to for 15 years has been actively plotting to destroy our family while making me feel like I was the problem. Jace says I need to talk to a lawyer immediately. Elias says I should gather more evidence first. I'm leaning toward Elias's advice, but honestly, I'm not sure how much more I can take of watching her manipulate our son. Tomorrow I'm calling my buddy's cousin who's a family attorney. I need to know exactly what my rights are and how to protect Rylan. The thing that keeps me up at night is wondering how long this has been going on. Was the last year of my marriage just a performance while she planned her exit strategy? Edit. For everyone asking who Devin is, I have no idea. I've never heard that name before. I'm planning to do some digging. Edit 2. Yes, I'm definitely documenting everything. Screenshots saved in 3 different places. I'm also going to start recording our conversations. One-party consent state. Edit 3. I keep getting messages asking if I'm okay. Honestly, no. I feel like my entire reality has been turned upside down, but I'm functional, and I'm going to handle this the right way. Final update. I confronted Mara yesterday. It's over. I spent the last 2 weeks gathering evidence and talking to the attorney. Tom, my buddy's cousin, said what I found was more than enough to pursue full custody, and that the education fund transfer plan could potentially be considered theft fraud, depending on timing and intent. But first, I had one more conversation with Rylan. I was careful not to put him in the middle, just asked how he was feeling about everything at home. Kid's smart. He said he'd been walking on eggshells around his mom, and didn't understand why she seemed angry with him all the time. That was all I needed to hear. Monday evening I printed out all the email drafts, the browser history, and my notes about the phone calls and strange behavior. When Mara got home from work, I was sitting at the kitchen table with everything laid out in front of me. "We need to talk," I said, "about Devin." The look on her face told me everything. She went completely white, then immediately tried to go on offense. "You went through my private emails. How dare you violate my privacy like that?" I stayed calm. "Mara, you've been emotionally abusing our son as part of a plan to leave me. You've been planning to steal his college money. I think we're past worrying about privacy." She tried to deny it at first, saying the emails were just venting and that I was taking things out of context. But when I started reading them back to her word for word, she broke down. Here's what came out. She's been having an affair with Devin Michaels for 8 months. He's a real estate agent she met when the bank was processing a commercial loan. They've been planning to move in together. And yes, she's been deliberately sabotaging her relationship with Rylan so custody wouldn't be an issue. The college fund part was even worse than I thought. She said they needed startup money for Devin's plan to open his own real estate office. And since the money was just sitting there anyway, it would be better invested in their future together. "What about Rylan's future?" I asked. "He'll be fine with you. You're the one he prefers anyway." That's when I lost it. I told her she was a terrible mother and an even worse person. She started crying, saying she never meant for it to go this far, that she just fell out of love and needed to think about her own happiness for once. I told her she had until the end of the week to move out voluntarily, or I'd file for divorce and full custody with all the evidence I'd gathered. I also told her that if even 1 penny was missing from Rylan's account, I'd press charges. She spent the next hour alternating between begging and threatening, said I was destroying the family, and that Devin would never accept her if this became public. I almost laughed at the irony. Here's where it gets interesting though. Yesterday afternoon, Mara's sister Tessa showed up at my shop. I'd sent her copies of everything the night before, because I figured she should know what kind of person her sister really was. Tessa was furious. Apparently she'd suspected something was off, but didn't know how bad it was. Tessa went straight to Mara's work and confronted her. According to Tessa, she told Mara exactly what she thought of her disgusting scheme and said the whole family was ashamed. Mara apparently broke down completely and admitted everything. By the time I got home Tuesday night, Mara had packed 2 suitcases and left. No note, no goodbye to Rylan, nothing. Just gone. I checked the education account first thing Wednesday morning. The money's still there, all $23,000. My attorney thinks she was probably waiting until after she filed for divorce to make the transfer. Rylan took it better than I expected. He said he was actually relieved that the constant criticism would stop, and that he'd been worried something was wrong but didn't know what. We had a long talk about how none of this was his fault, and how proud I am of him. As for Devin, turns out he had no idea Mara was married. Tessa tracked him down and showed him the email evidence. He was horrified and cut off all contact immediately. Apparently he thought she was recently divorced and going through a custody arrangement with an abusive ex-husband. Guy seemed genuinely decent when he called me to apologize. So here's where things stand now. I moved into the master bedroom, had been sleeping in the guest room for months. Rylan and I have been having dinner together every night and actually talking. Kid's like a different person without the constant criticism. He's relaxed, joking around, even brought a friend over yesterday. I'm not going to lie, the financial situation is tight. Losing Mara's income hurts, and I'm paying lawyer fees. But Jace helped me pick up some side work doing motorcycle repairs, and honestly, the house feels peaceful for the first time in months. Mara tried calling Tuesday night, but I sent it straight to voicemail. She was crying, saying she made a terrible mistake, and asking if we could work through this as a family. I deleted it without calling back. My attorney says she'll probably try to file for some kind of shared custody eventually, but given the evidence we have, it's unlikely she'll get anything more than supervised visitation. Honestly, after what she put Rylan through, I'm not sure I want her around him at all unless she gets serious therapy. The strangest part is how much stronger Rylan and I have gotten through this. We're planning a camping trip for next weekend, something Mara would never have been interested in. Kid's excited about learning to fish properly. Some of Mara's family has reached out to apologize. Her mom sent a long text saying she's ashamed of her daughter's behavior and hopes Rylan and I are okay. Her aunt even offered to help with childcare if I ever need it. The divorce paperwork should be finalized within 60 days. Tom says it'll be straightforward given the evidence and the fact that she abandoned the marriage. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm actually grateful this happened. I'd rather know the truth about who I was married to than live the rest of my life being manipulated and watching my son suffer. To everyone who told me to trust my instincts and document everything, thank you. You probably saved my family. Edit. Getting a lot of messages about pressing charges for the education fund thing. Tom says since she didn't actually transfer the money, it would be hard to prove criminal intent. I'm letting it go unless she causes problems with the custody arrangement. Edit 2. For those asking about Rylan, he's doing great. His grades have actually improved since the stress at home disappeared. We're looking into family counseling just to make sure he processes everything in a healthy way. Edit 3. Devin reached out again yesterday to check on Rylan and offer to help with my legal fees since he feels partially responsible. Stand-up guy who got manipulated just like I did. I declined the money offer, but I appreciate the gesture.